gotten me really excited to continue reading fantasy. It's a little dry. I will get through this. Whimsical, it was very charming. That one I think just was not for me. One more book down, just transported to this world. We're making progress. Yeah, fun. Welcome to another reading video, summer edition. Tomorrow I am going to be going to the beach with some friends. We're gonna do a little beach time, a little bonfire time. It should be fun. I'm planning to bring at least one book with me, but I need to narrow down. I've got 4 books that I'm in the middle of and a whole stack of books, mostly from the library, that are on my to read very soon list. I am halfway through Yona of the Dawn volume 12. This is just like a feel-good, found family type manga with kind of a very slow political plot. I am also halfway through James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. It's got a very somber tone. This is also a contender for me to bring since I'm already halfway through and it is like relatively smaller compared to some of the other ones. It's a contemporary romance book called Mixed Signals by B.K. Borison. I have not started this, so this would be starting a new book, which I'd like to finish one of the 4 books I'm in the middle of before I pick up another one. This is taking place in a small town. It's part of an interconnected standalone series. Each book takes place in a different season. It's very much like Stars Hollow from Gilmore Girls, where everyone's like a small business owner, everyone knows each other, everyone gossips. It's really cozy. I haven't really loved the relationships in the first 2 that I read, but I do like the setting overall. So I've got 2 feel-good reads sandwiching a not-so-feel-good read. The other books that I'm in the middle of are Wise Man's Fear. I shouldn't even say in the middle, I'm in the beginning. I'm about maybe 10% in, page 130. I went into this really not wanting to like it because chances are we are probably never going to see the 3rd book in this trilogy get published, but I'm really loving it. It's such a good classic fantasy style read following this kid who's an orphan that goes to a magical school and is just really good at everything. He's also trying to get through school without any financial backing, so he has to be pretty scrappy, tries to make friends along the way. It's really immersive. The plot's really fun, like you really never know what's going to come next. I don't love all the characters. I find them a little bit two-dimensional and a little bit infuriating at times, including the main character himself, but it's pretty solid overall. I hate to admit it. The only other one I might consider picking up is When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nevo. This is the 2nd book in a series of novellas. Her prose is very lyrical, which I mostly like. I found her plots to be a little bit lacking, but I do want to give this series another shot. I think there's potential there, and I like a lot of the themes that she covers in her books as well. I'll chat more about that if I end up reading it. Oh, and I will probably pick up Invincible on Sunday because I do like to read these on Sundays so I can start and finish them in the same day because that feels really satisfying. That's it. Welcome to the video. This weekend was so delightful and social and fulfilling in so many ways, but it was also very, very exhausting. I did manage to get about 12 pages read of Giovanni's room while I was at the beach, and honestly, that was such a needed, useful tool in recharging on a very, very busy social day. Saturday was mostly relaxing, recovering, recharging. Managed to get our groceries, restock the kitchen. I also managed to finish Yona of the Dawn, volume 12 of this manga series, which I believe is up into about 40 volumes at this point. The found family and the banter amongst the characters is honestly just so heartwarming to read every time that I pick it up. On Sunday, I went into the city to work. I had a couple of front desk hours, just had to keep the gym open. I didn't have to coach any classes instead of reading. I ended up working on programming. And then I went to East Village Books, which is a used bookstore that's been on my radar. I haven't been there in a few years, and it was really nice to go back and really spend some time to check out all of their selection. They had a whole section for anti-establishment books, which was very cool, as well as both left-wing political books and right-wing political books. The selection honestly was really, really great. They had a lot of old classics as well as some contemporary, more newer releases. Honestly, highly recommend, but it is cash only, so just know that if you go to check it out, make sure you bring cash. Okay, we're making progress. I read a few pages. I am still about halfway through on Giovanni's room. I finished this installment of Yona, and I finished this installment of Invincible. I'm really liking Invincible, actually. This story is getting more and more interesting every installment. Really like how the characters are confronting some different moral quandaries, also dealing with some family drama, and there's a bit of romance that's actually being handled really well, I think. I kind of had low expectations in terms of romance. There's a lot of different weaving narratives happening as well, a lot of little mini arcs that are coming into play at different points. It's really, really interesting to see how the author is weaving it all together. All right, I think my focus of today is going to be When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain. It's only 2 hours on the audio, and I think I'm going to play a little bit of Breath of the Wild. I've been trying to get back into that game because I've been in the tutorial zone and just feel like I've been walking in circles. We'll see how it goes. Last night I finished When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nevo. It's a really cool premise. I think that the Chinese and Vietnamese influence that comes through is really cool. Also like that it was very short. I always love a short novella. Ultimately, I think this author's writing just isn't for me. I would still recommend it. It's very lyrical, but also there's like this ethereal quality that makes it feel the setting is a little less grounded, a little less immersive, and also the story within a story element in this series just creates a little more distance from the main story that's being told. I just don't prefer stories within a story. I know that's a really popular framing device and a lot of people really love it, so I still would recommend it, but I think I'm kind of down with this author. I've read 2 books in this Singing Hills Cycle series, and I also read her full-length novel, which was The Chosen and the Beautiful, the Great Gatsby retelling that was pretty popular a few years ago, and I haven't really loved any of them, so I think I'm gonna kind of stop there with her writing. There's something there that I definitely appreciate and I would recommend if it sparked your interest. It just doesn't work for me. And I need to start accepting that because I have currently 378 books on my TBR and I keep adding more. So I need to really figure out where to cut and where to skip. One more book down. I am picking up another by Diana Wynne Jones, the author of Howl's Moving Castle. This is the second book. It's a companion novel to Howl's Moving Castle, and this is called Castle in the Air, and we follow a whole different set of characters. So I think I'm gonna try to make some good progress in this today. Little reading update. We've got my pile of books returning to the library. I do have to make a library run today because one of these is maybe a couple days overdue. I am also going to be bringing back Castle in the Air because I finished it yesterday. There is a quest-centered plot where our main protagonist is going to save a princess. It's very much in the vein of Princess Bride or Tress of the Emerald Sea. I would say the main protagonist wasn't particularly endearing, and I didn't necessarily care about his motivation to marry this princess because they'd only known each other like 48 hours before he decided, he was fated to marry this princess. But it is a good classic framing for a big adventurous quest, and that was really fun. The way that the plot meandered at first made it less engaging for me because I didn't care as much about the protagonist. But as the story went on, the cast of characters grew. We started to run into different types of people and animals. You really got to know a variety of characters, and that was very endearing. It was very whimsical. It was very charming, and that is also just the general style of the writing was just very whimsical and charming. I started with the regular audiobook through my library, and I started listening to it on YouTube. There's a audio reading done by The Hungry Reader here on YouTube, and I would highly recommend that one. I liked it even more than the official audiobook. The way that they did the reading added a lot of flair and charm, but it does have a couple problematic elements to it. One of the main things that sticks out was the fat phobia. There's a few instances where it comes up and it's very blatant, it's very obvious. It's a little off-putting, like it's a little lame. That is one more book complete from when we started this video. House of Many Ways is the next book in this series. They are companion novels, so they're standalone story arcs. I'm not in a rush to continue on with this. I do want to finish this before the end of the year because I'd like to finish the series and cross one more series off my list of series that I'm in the middle of. By the end of the year is the goal. James Baldwin, I have not made any progress in this. I decided that I want to just stick to the audiobook, so I'm going to wait until that hold comes back in through Libby. And in the meantime, I'm going to return the book to the library. I was in the middle of The Algebra of Wealth by Scott Galloway as my nonfiction audiobook. Ended up DNFing that. I got to about 80%. The library hold ran out and I just decided I am going to move on. It was maybe a little bit too granular for what I was interested in. I took it off my list and honestly that felt really refreshing. But I did pick up another nonfiction audio, which is I Will Teach You to Be Rich. That so far has been pretty good. I'm about a third of the way through. I think a good balance of entertaining and informational. It's a lot of entry-level information, but it's a good refresher for me. It's been a while since I've learned about this stuff, and it's nice just to hear it in a very organized format. Most of the stuff I learned from my dad, thankfully, but it is cool to kind of see it spelled out. It definitely feels like an easy, digestible way to learn about finance, personal finance. Lastly, I am at page 228 in The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. It's been so long since I've read something that felt so immersive and really gave me that sense of curiosity and escapism. For one, the magic system is very grounded and has like a lot of logic to it. And for two, it plays into the way that the society works, the way that the university and the city operate is impacted by the magic system, and I think that is really fun to read. There's also a lot of little challenges that keep popping up for the main character. There's always something to deal with. There's always something to work towards, and that just keeps the story moving really effortlessly. These are probably some of the easiest 200 plus pages that I've read in a long time. The prose is really direct as well. I think people describe it as flowery, but honestly, I find it to be very direct and straightforward and easy to picture in my brain. Prioritizing this for the foreseeable future.
You seem a bit tipsy, madam. It may be prudent for you to lie down.
It is currently Sunday night, and I have been reading so much this week. I'm on a roll. The last time I checked in, I said I'm gonna lock in on Wise Man's Fear, and I've been reading everything but, which is fine. Like I said, I've been on a roll. I have had really good momentum this week where it's felt really effortless to pick up a book and start listening or reading. We talked about Castle in the Air, which was earlier in the week. Made it through another chunk of my nonfiction, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. So now I am halfway through. As soon as I brought back the library book for Giovanni's room, I got the audiobook hold back the next day. I just went ahead and finished listening to that in a single evening. It was interesting, but it was not a very valuable read for me. I didn't feel like I really got much out of it. And part of that is just because I'm already relatively familiar with the themes that were discussed. It's also not something that really affects me as much. I haven't had to live through being a queer person in the 50s and dealing with the gender roles that they had to deal with. I can see why it's valuable to many people. It's great that it exists and that it's been written and that a lot of people do resonate with it. Maybe I'll try another one of his essays before I pick up another novel. The Fire Next Time, I felt like was much more poignant. The prose just was very tight and very evocative. I didn't feel like that with Giovanni's Room. That one I think just was not for me. And then I picked up Scotch on the Rocks by Elliot Fletcher, a contemporary romance that takes place in the Scottish Isle of Skye, which is a real place. And I find it's actually feels very grounded. And the family dynamics in particular, I find to be very well fleshed out so far. There's a lot of real crap that these characters are going through. I like that that's being incorporated while keeping the romance side of it. The relationship feels very light. It feels like escapism for both the characters and for you as the reader. The Scottish accents also is really great on audio, so that's fun. Between the setting and the family dynamics, even if the relationship doesn't end up being up my alley, I feel like there's enough there that I will enjoy this reading experience regardless. And then I picked up and I finished Invincible volume 11. So we are done with 11 out of 25 and I've put the hold in for the next volume. Since it's Sunday night, I feel like I really, really want to start a new book. I have a couple sitting on my desk that I am pretty interested in, but I am abstaining from starting a new book, and I am going to recommit to Wise Man's Fear. I know that as soon as I start reading it, I'm going to be reinvested again. I just feel like because I've taken a few days off from it, I'm feeling a little less drawn to it, and I just like starting new things. I will resist temptation. I am currently at 25%, so we're moving through it. I thought this would take me a year because it's 1,000 pages. If I stop starting new books, I will get through this. And I read close to 700 pages this past week. I have about 750 pages left of this book. I could finish it in the next 2 weeks, reasonably, but we'll see. I'm gonna still try to take my time on it. I will say that picking up a book that I'm already 250 pages into does have the merit of being able to easily kind of slip into and understand the tone really easily without the initial kind of awkwardness of the first chapters of a new book. That is something that I struggle with sometimes when I pick up a new author, or particularly if I pick up a book outside of my typical genres. I tend to struggle with understanding the tone of voice to read in. I've mentioned so many times now, but the writing in this is just very smooth to me, so it feels really easy to get back into reading each time that I pick it up.
2 doorbells and humans. The others were evil spirits.
All right, happy Sunday. This is actually getting close to the end of July, so that means it is almost the end of this vlog. I was fully prepared to just kind of let today be a full-on rot day. It's now almost the end of the day, but the sun has come out. It was quite cloudy earlier. I'm going to change out of my sweatpants and get outside for a few minutes. I think I'm gonna go to the park and do a hang. I want to do a hang every day, ideally. So I'm gonna get my steps in. I'm gonna get a little fresh air and I'm gonna get my hang time, which sounds like surfing, but it's not for surfing. If you don't know, hanging literally from a bar or a tree branch or scaffolding, like it doesn't matter what you hang from, but hanging from something, gripping something overhead and hanging at like a dead hang or an active hang, it's really good for you. It's really good for your shoulder health, especially I think because we're always doing like tech and typing. Even when I do no screen hobbies, it's still a lot of things with my hands. So it's always like things in front of me. So my shoulders are always coming forward and that's how I end up with a lot of tension. Anyways, so if you get a lot of shoulder tension or you're finding yourself just kind of hunching forward a lot, I highly encourage you to find anything that you can hang from and just let yourself dead hang, and that should feel like a good stretch. And that's what I'm gonna go do right now. It's not a workout day, but I am gonna get a little bit of movement in. In terms of reading, I'm on the next volume of Invincible. I read another like 50 or so pages. I'm on page 350 of Wise Man's Fear. And it's funny because I posted something on social media that I finally sat down to read and fell asleep for a nap. The person commented like, oh yeah, that checks out for Wise Man's Fear. And I get that. Like I probably would have said the same thing a couple of years ago. I swear to God, after reading Lord of the Rings, it feels fast-paced just in comparison. I kept mentioning like the flow of the writing. Really, it just comes down to like the dialogue. There's just a lot of dialogue, kind of learning about what's happening through conversation. You're learning about the world through conversation versus like the long descriptive paragraphs of Lord of the Rings. That was a benefit that I was kind of hoping I would get out of reading Lord of the Rings. Like I was hoping to kind of like reset my benchmark, reset the standard for what is considered slow. I think that's exactly what happened. Now, something like Wise Man's Fear, even though it's 1,000 pages and there's not necessarily a lot happening, it feels a lot faster paced. It feels more engaging in comparison. That's fun. I am, like I said, 350 pages in, so just over a third of the way through. Definitely not going to be finishing it in this vlog, but hopefully in the next few weeks, kind of take my time and enjoy it. And I'm really enjoying my reading. Worlds more than I did in the beginning of the month. So something is working. I will say I'm not really loving the nonfiction books that I've picked up this month. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, honestly, I'm just really loving Wise Man's Fear. And also I'm reading it physically, which is crazy. I haven't touched the audiobook in a couple weeks, and I've just been reading it physically, and I'm really liking it. Yeah, it's fun. Taking out all this garbage and recycling as well. is the last day of July, so I wanted to just wrap up this month of reading. I finished I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and that was a recommended book from a friend, so I was able to follow up with them and let them know what I thought of it. Which, in summary, is that I think it was a good intro to finance that covered a lot of ground, a lot of important topics. If you are in the market for learning about finance and you're maybe a little earlier on in your journey, but you just don't know where to get started when it comes to managing your finances, I would highly suggest it because it did cover a lot while still feeling very accessible. There was a couple things I learned about retirement funds that I am going to look into. So I did get a little value out of it, but most of it I was already familiar with, thankfully. I'm almost done with Scotch on the Rocks. I have a half hour left on the audiobook and I will be listening to that later this evening as I get ready for bed, which I've been doing the past few days. I think it comes off more shallow because there's a lot of physical intimacy on page, but the characters are really well developed. I like how their families and friends are really well established in the book and they do play a part throughout the book. It does feel like a very well-rounded cast. It also touches on topics like aging parents and dementia and loss. There are kind of these like sadder conversations happening, but I think it is helpful to read about those situations in the context of a romance because you at the very least you know you're going to get some type of happily ever after, at least in terms of the relationship. So it feels a little safer to explore these not so happy topics. It makes it feel more meaningful, like both the relationship in the book and the story itself. It just all kind of gives it a little bit more weight. In terms of a recommendation, I would say if you prefer romance with a lot of on-page physical intimacy, then definitely check it out. It has a good balance of spice along with real-world drama and family and struggle. If you prefer less physical intimacy in your romance books, then I would definitely skip this one because it is frequently brought up. There's a lot of like innuendo, there's a lot of conversation around it even when it's not happening on page. So it's very, very prominent. I've made more progress in Wise Man's Fear. I'm now at page 411. I've read almost 400 pages this month alone. I started the month having read about 40 pages already. I'm almost halfway through, which is crazy to say. I've read 400 pages and I'm almost halfway through. I thought it would feel more like a slog. I've never read a book that is 1,000 pages. Honestly, feel like it has helped remind me what I love about reading fantasy. The way that I've been able to feel like I'm just transported to this world, following along on these little mini adventures, even though the scope of it is much smaller than what I expected when I picked up Name of the Wind. That was my main criticism of Name of the Wind. I just felt like it wasn't epic enough. It wasn't grand enough. I expected more of a Wheel of Time type scale, and that just simply was not what was delivered. Going into the second book, having recalibrated my expectations has definitely helped a lot. So now I'm appreciating that day-to-day adventure. I'm just having a lot of fun. It feels like very low stakes at the end of the day. If I had read this a few months ago, or if I read this later in the year, my opinion could easily have changed. I'm realizing how fickle my opinion of books really is, depending on what I've read right before, what expectations I'm going in with, whatever mood or whatever else is going on in my life, whatever formula happened this month. For some reason, I'm really loving this, even though I didn't feel the same way in the first book. It's gotten me really excited to continue reading fantasy. I'm really, really eager to get to The Wheel of Time, The Realm of the Elderlings, and maybe some of the newer series that I've seen pop up, maybe like The Shadow of the Gods. There's that series by Ryan Cahill that I have seen mostly positive things. There's a few on my radar that I'm very intrigued by. I'm just really pleased and really delighted of how well this has gone. I think that just goes to show how much your expectations going into a novel makes such a difference. Daily reminder to go in with as little expectation as possible. In fact, go in expecting a book to be bad. I don't know. Put on a book that you think you're going to love on your list and then go into it reading thinking you're going to hate it. That sounds like a recipe for success. You just need to be really delusional. I don't know. But overall, I'm really, really, really happy with how my reading has gone this month. I was really intentional about continuing on series that I'm in the middle of, picking up books that were recommended to me from friends, and DNFing the one book that I felt like I really wasn't getting any value out of. And also reading an arc, which I don't do too often, and I actually really enjoyed. So I think I'm learning my taste better when it comes to arcs. I'm getting a little more picky about those as well, and I'm feeling more successful. Did I mention I got my TBR down to 280 books? I kept going through rounds of auditing it and just removing more and more books from that list. At first, it was feeling really stressful to take books off the list because I was nervous that I was going to miss out. And I kept having to remind myself, like, this is my priority list. It's not like I can't read anything else ever. If something comes back up later, I will just add it back to the list. It's not that serious. The way I feel having gotten the list under 300 books is so much more motivating. I was strongly considering earlier this month just deleting the whole list. Auditing it was the right move. I just needed to go through it a few times to get it down to a number that didn't feel overwhelming, essentially. That felt like a list that I could get through in my lifetime at the very least. And now that I've reeled back those habits in terms of what I'm adding on, and I've really reconsidered some of the books that I've had on there for some time, I feel like I'm in a much better place mentally and emotionally. I feel like I can tackle the next few months with a clear vision of what I want to be reading instead of feeling like I'm just constantly trying to catch up, reading things just to get them off the list. Now I feel like I can engage with these books in a more reasonable pace, actually enjoy them. That's the goal. Anyways, I hope this was in any way, shape, or form helpful or entertaining. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. And I will see you in another video soon.